Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wind Down Wednesday, episode 17. We're at our new time. So for those of you in Arizona, we're 30 minutes earlier than we were. And for those of you in the rest of the country, we're about an hour and 30 minutes earlier with the time change. So I'm hoping this will help those of you on the East Coast stay awake for the meditation. But of course, always be gentle with yourself. If you fall asleep, it's probably just because your body needed sleep. So tonight we're going to talk about relaxation. And boy, if you're anything like me this week, you really need it. But I wanted to start by just saying a brief word about choosing love over fear. So this is a simple choice, choosing love over fear, but it's not an easy choice. Many times choosing love over fear can cost us relationships with people. It can cost people their lives, choosing love over fear. And choosing love over fear is why I do what I do. It's what I aim for in my life. And I'm here to support people in growth, to help people open to love, to help people let go of fear, just as I am doing that in my own life. And doing this kind of shadow work is scary, shining a light into the darkness inside of ourselves. And the reason I bring this up tonight is because we're doing this on a societal level in this country right now, shining a light into our darkness, looking at some of the parts of ourselves that we maybe haven't been willing to look at in the past, and that it's time to bring into the light. And the way that we transform this darkness is with love. This darkness is fear. At the base of all these kind of negative emotions, I've talked about this before, at the base of hatred is fear. And the only thing that can transform fear is love. So we give love to ourselves, and then we see that love reflected back in the way other people treat us. We give love to other people because other people really are ourselves. There's no difference. We're all one. So this work that you're doing on yourself is so important. And I encourage you to reach out when you need help, because this is how we change a society, is by working on ourselves and then working within our families and then working within our communities and letting that love ripple out into infinity and allowing it to transform. And it's not easy work. So I applaud you for being someone who's showing up for yourself. That's the first step to this. And I encourage you to read my blog on spiritual processing. If you haven't, it's at my website. That's paulataylorenergy.com. So awareness is always the first step in any kind of spiritual program, pretty much any kind of spiritual practice. And this shadow work that we're doing, choosing to step into love over fear, the first step in that is to be aware that the fear is there, whether it's within you, whether you're seeing that reflected in the people around you or in society at large. We can't transform fear until we have love. Love is what transforms fear. So awareness is what allows us to step out of fear and into love. And that spiritual processing blog that I wrote, I talk about step by step how to get into awareness. You can read my Living in Truth blog post, and that's about stepping into awareness as well. So we will never be perfect. I am not perfect. I am continually trying to better myself. I'm continually trying to choose love over fear, and I don't always succeed, but we choose love as often as we can. And as we practice things like meditation, things like what we've been doing here for 17 weeks now, things like the meditation we're going to do tonight, that's how we transform through this process. And we begin to choose love over fear more and more often in our lives. So let's talk about relaxation. So there's a physical component to relaxation, and there's a mental and emotional component. And we're going to talk about both of those tonight, but I wanted to just briefly state, as I often do, that energy underlies everything. This spiritual matter that is energy. It underlies physical and it underlies the mental and emotional. So this is energetic work that we're doing. Even if we're talking about physical or we're talking about mental and emotional, this is energetic work. So we're going to start with the physical, because I think when people think about relaxation, the physical is usually kind of the first thing maybe that comes to mind. So the first thing I wanted to mention is that it's really hard to relax your body when your body is in pain or in discomfort. So we focus on moving energetic stagnation, and that is what decreases pain, and that is what increases relaxation in the body. So pain in the body is the result, for most of us, a lot of us have chronic pain, and that's the result of years and years and years of this energetic stagnation, or holding, a lot of times holding of emotions in the body. So you can see, we've talked about this before, how much the physical body and the emotional body is connected. But another component of the physical process of relaxation is moving out of the sympathetic nervous system and into the parasympathetic. And there's a lot of research about this. We're going to talk a little bit more about this, but I don't want to go into a huge amount of detail because we want to do our meditation. But essentially, when you're in the sympathetic mode, that's the fight, flight, or freeze, what they talk about when your adrenaline is pumping and your heart might be racing. This is what happens when you get confronted with something, whether it's physical or emotional. It triggers this fight, flight, or freeze response. And the parasympathetic is the ease response. That's the relaxation response. That's the system that takes over when we're allowing our energy to flow freely. And that's the state that allows us to be in relaxation. So physically, in order to get into relaxation, we need to transition from that sympathetic into the parasympathetic. And one of the best ways to do that is using sound. So if you've watched any of my prior episodes, you'll know that I talk a lot about letting an audible sound out, an audible sigh or a ha sound when you're breathing. And there's research behind this as well. You can look into this if you're somebody who likes to get into the nitty gritty of that stuff. And we're on a short time period, so I'm not going to go much into that, other than to say that when you make that ha sound, it actually vibrates the vagus nerve. And that's one of the main nerves that's involved in getting you into the parasympathetic. So letting out that audible ha, and especially if you do it multiple times, is a very fast and simple way to get into the parasympathetic response. And chanting is another great way to do that. We don't do that so much in these just because I've had issues with sound on the Facebook Live, and I've mentioned before, I'm getting more into sound and music again, and we may transition into a different format, or I may use something else so that we can get into more chanting. There's a great meditation on my website that's the meditation and chant for anxiety. So I always encourage people, I direct them to paulataylorenergy.com. If you're interested, that's a great way to start chanting. And that's the same mantra we're going to use tonight when we get in, talk about the physical and emotional. But just even that ha sound, ha, that is what will allow you to transition out of sympathetic and into parasympathetic. So this is a learned process. Our body is so used to holding tension that it will take repetition to learn to relax. And awareness, again, is a big part of this. And that's one of the things we develop in meditation. And that idea of being gentle with yourself as well. So I've been a massage therapist for almost 20 years. And one thing that any really good massage therapist will tell you is that you can't beat a muscle into submission. If I just dig my elbow into your back, chances are you're going to tense up more because you're guarding. That part of the body is not ready to release. We have to gently kind of ease ourselves into release. And that's one of the reasons that I love energy work, and that I think it's actually more effective for long-term relaxation than physical massage. Physical massage is great, and of course it has applications. And if you have a skilled massage therapist, they're using energetic techniques. They might be asking you to do some deep breathing. That sometimes helps a muscle to relax. They might be, now sometimes without even knowing it, massage therapists are healers, and they might be sending energy through their hands to you, and that helps the body release as well. So that's just an example of how important it is to allow ease, even to get into relaxation. And that's where the kind of physical and emotional comes in. And that's what we're going to talk about next. So the mental and emotional component of relaxation, we need to be present to be relaxed. So if you are thinking about what's going to happen when you're done with this meditation, let's say, or you're worried about what's going to happen tomorrow, you're worried about what's going to happen with the United States election right now, it's impossible to get into relaxation when your mind is not in the present moment. And we tend to be not in the present moment. We tend to be dwelling on something that happened in the past where, did I do this? Did I embarrass myself in this situation? You're replaying a conversation maybe that you had earlier today. So there's that distraction of the past. And then we spend a lot of our energy on the future. And I am very guilty of this, worrying about the future, wondering what's going to happen, thinking about what I have to do next. Sometimes I'll be in a meditation and I'm like, oh, I got to add this to my grocery list. And that's all normal. But what we want to learn to do is keep calling the mind back to the present. And, it will wander, it will veer. And sometimes we'll have present moment thoughts in meditation as well. And I did want to mention that you might think about how you're uncomfortable, or you might think, oh, this is stupid, I'm wasting my time. That's also a distraction. That's a present moment distraction. And all of these distractions are kind of the ego's way of defending itself. It doesn't want us to be in flow. It doesn't want us to be in relaxation because it feeds off of fear. The ego is a fear-based part of ourselves. So when we step into this love, when we step into relaxation, the ego gets threatened. So learning to be present is also a process, just like learning to physically relax your body is a process. And you can actually change the neural network in your brain through meditation. That's one of the reasons it's such a powerful tool, is that you can actually change the chemical components. You can change how the synapses are firing by this repetition of relaxation, of coming back to the present, of stepping into flow. But all of that takes practice. So I usually give a personal example in these shows. And in terms of meditation, I've been practicing meditation for over 20 years in some form or another, to varying degrees of dedication. There's times when I really haven't meditated much. There's times when most of my meditation has been through a physical practice like yoga. But I have been meditating for over 20 years. And I am still making progress in my meditation. Just the other day, what inspired this whole relaxation thing, which ended up being very timely. This weekend, I was in meditation and I was noticing some places in my body where I was really holding tension, like in my hips. And suddenly it released, and I thought, oh my gosh, this has been here for 40 plus years and it just now finally released. And that's that repetition of stepping back into the parasympathetic, of sitting in meditation, of training my mind and my body to learn how to relax. It seems like relaxation should come naturally to us, but we've sort of set ourselves up as a society that feeds off of stress. And we're always on the go. We always have 50 million things that we're thinking about. We have a list of things to do. And that's why, like, when people take vacations, my husband and I have been watching a lot of Caribbean Life and Mediterranean Life, these shows where people are looking for houses in these idyllic locations by the ocean. And in almost every episode, somebody says about their spouse or partner that they're looking for a house with, when so-and-so gets here, they're so much more relaxed. And what happens when we go on vacation is that we step into the present. We step away from the things that we're worried about in the past. We step away from the things we have to do when we get home, and we're in a state of presence, and we're in a state of beauty. And then we can finally relax. But some of us can't vacation at all right now. We can't go anywhere. So it's really worthwhile to develop this meditation practice so that you can learn to take a vacation in your own life. I was thinking about that today. It's been hot in Arizona. It's been an extra hot year. We're just now getting to the point where we can really go outside, and it's still kind of in the evening when it's more comfortable. So I've spent the last several months mostly inside, but I feel very relaxed because I'm doing this work, and I've really been able to dive into it because I'm not doing ultrasound anymore. But even when you are doing a full-time job or when you're very busy, committing to the practice of meditation will pay dividends. And obviously, as I'm seeing now, the more you meditate, the more quickly you're able to train your body to make some changes. But being in a state of true presence, even for a few moments a day or a few moments of a week, is a great place to start. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to work with both the mental emotional component and the physical component of relaxation. And I wanted to say, and I'll probably repeat this during the meditation, but we've used mantra before. This is not a mantra meditation, but I wanted to give you the option of using a mantra. So when you're trying to stay present, especially if you're first starting or if you're very amped up to begin with, which many of us maybe are tonight, mantra is a great way to bring your mind into the present, because when you're repeating these words, your mind has to focus on the words. You're repeating words in the present, and it takes you out of those distractions of the past. So the mantra that I like to use is very simple. It's Sat Nam. It's Satnam. It looks like Sat Nam, but it's pronounced Sat Nam. And loosely translated, it basically means truth in my identity. So if you get distracted, especially when we're doing the mental, emotional component of this meditation, just start repeating Sat Nam to yourself. And the way I like to do it is, as you breathe in, you think Sat, and as you breathe out, you think Nam. And you can do that multiple times till you kind of feel your mind relax or till you stop wandering, and then you can kind of let it go and see if you're able to stay in the present. And if you're not, no worries. Don't beat yourself up. As usual, we want to be gentle with yourself. And especially if you're new to this practice, and you will find your mind wandering. And again, I've been doing this for over 20 years, and sometimes I sit in meditation and it's just like, meh. So it depends on the state you're in when you come into this. And sometimes you're going to just knock it out of the park and you'll feel like, like you're just melting. And sometimes it'll be a little bit more difficult, but we don't want this to be a struggle. We want to be in ease. If you're struggling to get into meditation, you're just going to get more tense. So we're going to use that deep audible ha breath. I'm going to remind you about it throughout the meditation, but anytime you're kind of stuck in some stagnation or you're feeling discomfort, which is a sign that you're holding tension, go into that deep ha breath. Take it in through the nose and sigh it out. And you can get really exaggerated with that ha. And the more sound you produce, the more that's going to vibrate that vagus nerve and bring you into the parasympathetic response. The other thing that I will encourage you to do, and you may have seen me do this in prior meditations, and I've never commented on it, but when you release energy, sometimes the body needs to move a little bit. So like I have a lot of tension in my neck. And so sometimes when I'm meditating, I might do something like this because I'm letting that energy go. Or you can kind of shake your arms a little bit or move your body around. So I may have told this story before, and I want to get into the meditation. I don't want to talk for too long. But Eckhart Tolle tells this story I think it's in the book, The Power of Now. And he talks about how he was sitting at a pond and he saw two ducks or geese get into a fight. And they got really into this fight. And then at the end of the fight, both of them physically shook and then just went on their way. And the idea is that animals understand this intuitively. If you have a dog or a cat, you'll see them shake, and that we've sort of lost that ability to physically release that energy as we need. If you're in the middle of the grocery store and you're like doing this, people might be like, what is she doing? So socially, we've sort of lost that, but nobody's watching you tonight. So as you feel things release, if you feel called to kind of do a little bit of this action, go for it, because that is your body's way of releasing some of that energy so that you can step into that relaxation more. And then the last thing I want to say before we start is to stay present with discomfort. And this is the hardest thing for most of us. So if we're focusing, and this is emotional or physical, if we're focusing on something and you have uncomfortable feelings coming up, or you have a pain in your body or a discomfort in your body, our tendency is to run from that, is to just, I don't want to deal with that, kind of as I leave the screen. When we're in meditation, The way that we release that, and the way that we release that in any, I'm talking about meditation, but in life in general, you have to sit in your discomfort before it will dissolve. You have to be there, you have to be present before you can get that discomfort to let go. So use the mantra, use the ha breath, and stay with that discomfort and notice how it changes. Notice if that tension loosens a little bit. Notice if that feeling kind of loosens a little bit. And it may be subtle. This is sometimes a subtle practice. Energy work is a subtle practice. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's very obvious. You might you might just like have a huge release, but not always. So don't expect that. Just see what happens. Stay with it. As usual, be gentle with yourself and stay in ease. The whole point of this practice is to learn how to do this in a controlled setting, in a meditative setting, so that when we step back into our daily lives, we carry this relaxation with us. We carry this equanimity. We're allowing ourselves to be at ease, even in a stressful situation. And the way we learn to do that is in the safe setting of this kind of a meditation. All right. I feel like I talked a lot tonight, but I feel like it was warranted. So let us step into the meditation for relaxation. Get yourself nice and comfortable. As usual, I encourage you to sit up if possible. If you're in a chair, you can make sure your feet are resting flat on the floor. If you're sitting on the ground, kind of ground your bottom into the surface that you're sitting on and really feel it connect to the ground. If you're lying down, that's fine, but you might have a tendency to fall asleep, which is the ultimate form of relaxation. So for this meditation, maybe lying down will work the best for you. Whatever position you're in, really notice the feeling of whatever part of your body is connected to the ground. Let yourself get settled in your seat. And I'd like you to start with 3 to 5 of those deep ha breaths. In through the nose and then out through the mouth with an audible sigh. And again. And after you've done your 3 to 5 breaths, continue to breathe deeply. You can continue to use that ha breath throughout the entire meditation, whatever feels right for you. You can let it go for a moment and then take a few more and then let it go. Just let your intuition be your guide here. We're going to start in the physical body tonight. And we're going to slowly scan through the body and pause, taking some deep breaths wherever you encounter any feelings of discomfort or pain or resistance. So imagine the top of your head, that crown chakra, gently opening. Invite that beautiful golden white light of divine energy, of joy, of love, of bliss to flow in through the top of your head. And pause here for a moment with your awareness in your head. We actually carry a lot of tension in our scalp, in our jaw, in our face. So take a couple of deep ha breaths and focus your in-breath into the area where you're feeling any tension, discomfort, or pain. And then as you sigh it out, imagine directing that discomfort down and out, all the way through the lower part of the body, out the feet and into the earth, with the intention that this energy will be recycled for the highest good. Let's bring the attention, the awareness into the neck now. Another very tense area. You can move it around a little bit. Kind of notice where the tension is. And again, take another deep inhale into the neck, into the throat, and sigh it out. Let that pain, discomfort flow out and down through your feet and into the earth, where it will be recycled for the highest good. Bringing your awareness into the shoulders now, all those burdens that we carry on our upper back and shoulders. And again, nice deep breath into the shoulders here. Sigh it out and let go of that energetic stagnation, of that holding, of that discomfort. Take one more big deep breath into the shoulders here. Let your awareness come into your arms. We'll just focus on the entire arm today, upper arm, elbow, forearm, wrist, and hand. Noticing here you can roll your wrists a little bit, move around if you're noticing any tension. Take a nice deep breath into the arms, into the hands, and sigh that out with an audible ha. Directing your attention now into the chest and upper back, another area where we hold so much tension and a lot of emotional tension here in the upper chest and the heart region. So be very gentle with yourself here. We're going to come back to this emotional, mental component. But right now, noticing any physical sensation here, breathe directly into your area of sensation and then let it out with a nice audible ha. And do that one more time here. We're approaching the mid-back and the abdomen. Let your in-breath draw through the shoulders and upper back into the mid-back and belly, and then ha. Nice big sigh, let it out. And again, like you might have just seen my arm twitch, that's just a little bit of that energy, that stagnation moving out of the physical body so that I can relax. And now coming into the lower belly, the low back. Nice big breath. Draw the energy in through the top of the head, all the way down into that belly and low back. And sigh it out. Coming into the hips and the pelvis now. So much energy can be held here around the sacrum, the tailbone, the hip sockets, in the gluteal muscles. Take a couple of nice deep breaths all the way down into your hips and your pelvis. Sigh it out. And again, let that energy go with the intention of allowing it to be recycled for the highest good elsewhere. As we come into the thighs here, the upper legs, a lot of tension here in the upper legs. We tend to tense up our legs and our pelvis when we're standing for long periods, when we're in any kind of fight, flight, or freeze situation. We draw up that perineum, the pelvic floor. We tense up the gluteus and the quads, the leg muscles. So take a nice deep breath all the way down into your hips, into the upper thighs, the quadriceps muscles, the hamstrings. And then sigh that out, send the energy down and out through the feet. And again, if you need to move a little bit, if you're noticing something loosen up, feel free to move. Let your body knows how to relax. It used to. We've just lost that ability. So listen to the intuition of your body here. And a place that we usually take an extra deep breath, the knees. The knees support us energetically. They support us physically. They take a lot of abuse. So take a nice deep breath into your knees and let it out with an audible ha. Let that energy go down and into the earth. Let it be recycled for the highest good. And now bringing the awareness into the lower legs, the shins and calves, the ankles. Take a nice deep breath in all the way down through the top of the head and the torso, through the legs, the knees, and into the lower part of the legs there. And sigh it out. And last but not least here, we're going to breathe all the way into the feet. A lot of tension held in the feet as well. This is our connection to the physical earth most of the time. So take a couple of deep breaths here and concentrate on bringing your awareness, your energy, this divine, loving bliss, all the way down through the head and the torso, into the hips and pelvis, down through the legs and all the way into the feet. And then sigh it out into the earth. And let's do that one more time. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose, down through the head and the neck, the torso, the pelvis, the legs, all the way to the feet. And then sigh that energy out into the earth. And just sit for a moment noticing the changes in your body here. Do you feel decreased tension in your physical body? Have you had any lessening of pain or discomfort? If not, that's okay, but notice it might have been a subtle shift. Take one or two more deep breaths into any areas that are still calling for your attention, anywhere in the body. And notice now what your emotional state is like. What is your mind doing? The act of relaxing the physical body has an effect on our mental and emotional bodies. So you might feel calmer. Your thoughts may have already slowed. Your emotions may have calmed. But pay attention. If your thoughts are wandering, if you're thinking about what happened earlier today or yesterday, if you're replaying a conversation in your mind or an encounter you had with someone, gently draw that energy back into the present moment. Let go of the past for right now. It's always going to be there. Just let it go for a few minutes here. And then notice any energy, any thoughts that you're projecting into the future, wondering about what's going to happen when you step out of this meditation, or later tonight, or tomorrow, or next week, or 10 years from now. Draw that energy back into the present moment. The future will be here when you're finished with this exercise. Give yourself the gift of being in the present moment for these few last minutes. And if you're having distracting thoughts about the present, if you're still thinking about areas of discomfort in the body, or you're wondering how much longer this is going to last, notice these thoughts and let them settle. If they don't, you can use that Sat Nam mantra, breathing in Sat and breathing out Nam. And after you do a couple of Sat Nam breath cycles, then let the mantra go and notice. Are you able to keep your mind in the present for a few extra moments before you need to go back to the mantra? There's emotion calling for your attention. If you have a physical feeling in the body that you identify as an emotion, breathe into that now. You're in the present moment. This is not a distraction. This is an opportunity to breathe directly into the part of the body that's holding that emotion for you. If your mind starts to wander, gently invite it back to the present. You can use the mantra Sat Nam if it feels good. Spending the last few moments here fully present in this moment, in this body, in this practice. Breathing into any last areas calling for your attention. Give yourself the gift of a few last moments of presence. And you can repeat the following affirmations out loud if possible, or silently. I step into the flow of divine energy. I step into the present moment. I allow myself to choose love over fear. I let go of fear that I am holding in my body. I am open to love. Take a few last deep ha breaths using the Sat Nam mantra if you'd like to keep your mind focused. You can allow that crown chakra to remain open to this flow of divine love, of divine light, of presence. Or if you'd like, gently imagine it closing. Bring your awareness back into the physical body one more time before we open our eyes. Take a nice deep breath into any remaining areas of tension. And sigh it out. Notice how you feel now as compared to when we started. Does your body feel more comfortable and relaxed? Do your emotions feel more settled? Does your mind feel calmer? Remember this state, and you will begin to access it more and more frequently. As you're ready, you can wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, bring yourself back. Roll your wrists if you like. Move your body. Let any last tension out. Shake your arms a little bit. You can kind of shake your legs. You can pick your feet up off the floor and shake them if you'd like. And one more time. Last time. Nice deep breath in through the nose and sigh it out with an audible ha. Can remain in this relaxed state for as long as you'd like. Letting go of the past, letting go of the future, and just sitting in the present moment, learning to come back here over and over again through this practice. As you're ready, you can open your eyes, but feel free to stay in meditation if it feels good, if you have the time for it. You might even let yourself drift off to sleep from this state. You can practice this meditation right before sleep. This is a great way to prep your physical body, to prep your mind and your emotions for a state of sleep. Every moment we have the opportunity to choose love over fear. Allow yourself the gift of choosing love. Allow yourself the gentleness not to judge yourself when you do choose fear, because it's so much easier to step back into love when we're easy with ourselves, when we're in relaxation, when we're in ease. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the rest of your week. Stay in ease. Stay in relaxation. And I will see you next week for Wind Down Wednesday.